Hi everyone, my name is Lily and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a rainbow quartz illustration that's actually based off of an old illustration you can see right here that I did back in May of 2017. So it's been over a year since I drew the last one and I wanted to update it with my current quality of art and make it look better because I still love the old one, but I want to make prints out of it. So this is that. It's an update, and you guys, honestly, looking at the difference is incredible to me, and it's it's been 16 months since I drew this, and it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but I feel like I've improved so significantly in that span of time. I'm amazed with myself. But here's the thing, if you don't consistently push yourself, then you don't improve. And everyone always says that. Like, I mean, if you're an artist and you've talked to anyone, basically, you'll know that that's pretty accurate, you know? Everybody says it. Well, you gotta work to improve. You have to draw all the time if you want to improve. And, like, I've always been pretty stubborn. Like, so if somebody tells me something like that, then I just don't pay attention, I don't listen to them, which is really bad, but, you know, honest about it. But seeing for myself, if you work consistently, how much you can improve, is seeing it for myself and having gone through it. It's really crazy how accurate that is. So if somebody tells you, hey, you have to work to improve, you should listen. Because I felt so stagnated in my art for so long, and I didn't know why. So because I felt bad, I didn't want to draw. And I kind of just, on a whim, tried to change up my style and make it look more more like artists that I like, which is like the style that I like. And it influenced and helped so much. I'm honestly overwhelmed a little bit. But I mean, like anything, the key to success is practice, and I preach that quite a bit. You know, if you want to draw decent, you have to practice. And even though I don't listen when people say that, from my own experiences, that's the truth. But anyway, so after that little tangent there, I did alter the pose a little bit because I felt like I wanted her to dance. Like, okay, listen. This setting whenever Rainbow Quartz appeared on the show was in the 80s. Well, wasn't stated, but it was obvious. Come on, if you've watched it. So I wanted her to kind of seem like she was dancing in a way, but also kind of be pretty, you know, because it's like my brand. So I gave her like this little hand motion here. I don't know. It may not look like it makes sense, but in my head, you know, it makes perfect sense. So one of the big differences I've noticed between now and the old one I did is the hair looks so much better. My anatomy is so much better. And honestly, my anatomy got better because I did a shit ton of studies on anatomy. I mean, I had certain months, especially last year, even at the beginning of this year, where I would get a sketchbook and I would just devote a lot of it to just doing studies, doing gestures, doing figure studies and stuff. So that helped phenomenally with my anatomy. And I think with the faces, just drawing it repetitively helped. Like, because the more you draw something, the easier it is to solidify that something. So I think that's how I've gotten my faces to look like they do, is just repetitively drawing and playing around with different ways I want to do it. And I want to say, like, a lot of people, I mean, I would say younger artists, but really it's just anybody who draws, especially in this sort of digital, you know, style, like cartoony anime style. People get really focused on their personal style, like how their art differs from someone else's and what makes it stand out. And I was actually having a conversation with my boyfriend about this, because he's wanting to get into drawing too, that with art, you draw inspiration from a lot of different places. Other artists, certain media, even books, you know, history. Like, there's a lot of places that you can draw inspiration from, and it's cherry picking those small details that you like from other places that develops your style. So basically, say that you like, oh, what's a good example? The bold lines of like Aztec art from like way back when, right? You like those really bold, blocky shapes that they used. And then you're also maybe inspired by Jonan Vasquez, which, if you don't know who that is, it's the guy who created Invader Zim, etc. I think he did Invader Zim. I don't know. He was really popular back in the early 2000s. Early 2010s in the art community. Everyone wanted to emulate him. But so you like those old, like Mayan, Aztec, I don't know, sort of blocky things, and then you like the way that Jonan Vasquez does his anatomy, per se, just as an example. And so you squish them together, and then you get this new thing that you've maybe never seen before, maybe no one's ever seen it before. And then you go, oh, well, I also like the way this specific artist draws eyes, so then you incorporate that, but maybe you do it with a specific line weight, or, you know, all those little inspirations that you draw from everywhere is what makes your style. And I've struggled with this myself a lot. But I think it's okay to do studies on people's styles, because I did that. But it's what you are inspired by from multiple sources that makes your style yours. So trying to emulate one particular person is not going to get you very far, but drawing your inspiration from literally everywhere is what is going to influence and help you develop your style. And you know, I think for me, I have kind of two different styles that I can play with. I have this one, which is like the one I'm drawing now, and it's really, I mean, it's what I would consider my normal style, where I just do specific layers and I have it all mapped out, and it's almost mechanical at this point. Like, what I do it the same way every time. And then I have another style that I use a totally different style of shading, and it's more of a laid back thing, and like the line work is usually not as great, but the shading is simpler, but it's like a get the point across type of thing. And I think it's okay if artists have more than one style, or if there's like a specific style you like and also you like the way a different style looks, so you have more than one. I think that's totally fine. I can get that, because I think for a long time I struggled with that myself, is not knowing where I was going. But because I did all of these studies, I did these anatomical studies, I did these, you know, style studies from different artists, and I tried to incorporate those things into my own art, and that is what helped me develop the style that I have now. So if you're a young artist, or just an artist in general looking to flesh out your own style, honestly, and I know you're probably sick of hearing this, you've got to study, you've got to practice, because if you don't, then you'll never get there and it'll be stagnant. Does that make sense? That's how I developed my art style, at least. I mean, it's probably different for everyone, but you know. And you don't have to draw inspiration from art, you can draw inspiration from literally anywhere. Fashion, you know, editorial stuff. There's a specific artist, I cannot remember who they are right now, but they use really bold lines and really flat colors, but they also do like, they'll do brand names somewhere, like on the cheek it'll be written like Nike or something like that, you know. And they have that specific style that they've developed from like brand names or from like those types of things. That thought was really fragmented, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to hurry up because I looked at how much time was left. I do want to talk about the art piece that I'm working on a little bit and not just ramble about art styles all day. So yes, this is Rainbow Quartz. It's a redraw from an old drawing, and I did struggle a little bit about how I wanted to shade the hair. I ended up liking it the way I did it the second time, which I just did a gradient basically of the different colors that you find in the picture, because the thing about the reference picture is it's in a specific mood lighting situation, so those aren't going to be true to her actual colors, and because I don't know what effects were used and stuff like that, I can't really pick the right colors out, so I tried to combine some of the colors that I saw that I liked and just wing it basically. I winged it. Certain things like the skin was easy to pick out, but the hair specifically, because there's so many different facets of it, that was a little more difficult. Other than that, I think like the rest of the piece was pretty easy to go because I already had the pose that I knew I wanted to do. And the outfit's not complicated, it's just honestly the hair, because it's so much. And that's one of the cool things that I like about Steven Universe is all the characters have like so much hair, generally. And I'm a big fan of characters with like a lot of hair. It's because I, in person, have a lot of hair. Like a ridiculous amount of hair, okay? Gotta live in that curly life. But I like characters with a lot of hair, so that's one of the reasons that I wanted to draw Rainbow Quartz. Because, girl, she got some her. Another character I'm planning on doing, I want to do Opal, because I've had one drawn of Opal before, but I don't really like it now. And I might do Steven Universe buttons too, because I mean, I feel like who doesn't want a button of their favorite character, you know? But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know Rainbow Quartz is not like a popular fusion, but she's one of my favorites, and even if I only select 2 prints, I don't care. It was literally because I loved this character. You saw me make all those shinies black for a second. It's because I couldn't really see where they were, and I was trying to figure out what tone I wanted them to be, so I made them black so when I put the final tone on, I knew like I got them all. It's the same concept of coloring like the hair all purple before I made the different color gradations on it, just so I can see and make sure that I've got all the areas covered that I need to be covered. I think the skin and like the outfit and everything took no time to do. It was the hair that took forever because I didn't know how complicated I wanted to go on the shading. If I wanted to do like gradations within the shadows, which I do sometimes, I ended up just going with a rather simple one. I think it looks better than being overly complicated because the hair is already gradated from like a light to a dark or different colors totally. So I love doing that style of breasts where it's like just a really soft shading to show how round they are. I really like doing that, and I know I like it when a lot of other artists do it. So I wanted to do it too, and I've been incorporating that too, and I think it makes it look a lot better. And I'll go through and kind of soften some of the lines on certain places to make it look A, softer, B, slightly more realistic, and C, rounder. Which, I mean, I guess that's just softer. Like on the arm here, I eventually go back and I'll smooth the whole thing out. And I generally smooth the second shadow layer that I do because I generally do 2 shadow layers, and I'll smooth the second one out more than the first one, if that makes sense. I think it looks better. Adding some highlights now. I used to never ever add highlights, and I'm kind of feel stupid for not, because highlights really make shit pop, and I used to not do it at all. I was like, ah, you have the shadows, it'll be fine, but I really understand the value of adding highlights now. I don't really add it on lighter colored like the corset or the bodysuit here. I didn't add any highlights there because it's white, and any highlight that I added would just totally get lost, so it's whatever. My favorite part about this whole entire piece, I think that looks the best, is definitely the face. And I've struggled a lot with making faces look right in the past. I think I'm finally starting to develop my style far enough to where it looks like I want it to. So I'm really glad I was able to make her face look as pretty as I wanted it to look. It's like my jam is drawing pretty ladies, if you didn't know. I actually struggled way more on this gem than I expected myself to. I am decently well at drawing gems, but for some reason this one just gave me a hard time, maybe because I haven't done it in so long. Overall, I'm really happy with how this piece turned out. I think it looks exactly like I wanted it to look. Actually, it looks better than I wanted it to look. So that makes me very happy. It's not often I get to look back on a piece and say, there's not much wrong with this. I actually like the way almost everything looks. There's, I think, one specific problem area that I'm not going to mention. Onto the background though. See, I wanted to emulate the space sandy background because I love how colorful it is, and it kind of is like a benchmark of when I started doing more colorful art instead of only using specific tones. So I wanted to emulate it, and then it didn't look really great with the color palette that I chose. Or, well, not that I chose, with the color palette that was used. And I was like, well, what if I do, you know, one of those like pattern type of backgrounds that I do sometimes, like mostly. And I was like, I looked up some 80s sort of backgrounds and came across like triangles, dots, and squiggles were like the thing late 80s, early 90s. Like imagine those old Taco Bell cups, like that's the aesthetic I was trying to go for, okay? And I think it came across okay, without being too obviously ripped off of the 80s patterns, but also being kind of the way I've been doing backgrounds. I don't know, I think it turned out well. And colorful, which is what I was trying to accomplish, was making it colorful. But, you know, guys, that about wraps this whole video up. Thanks for listening to me talk for like 15 plus minutes about art styles and shit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, you know, let me know. I love making videos, so. This is also the first illustration I've done in almost a month, so I'm glad it turned out as good as it did. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.